Hello everyone, welcome back to the Analyst by Vajiram and Ravi. Today again we will be discussing some important topics which are featured in today's The Hindu and the Indian Express newspapers which are very relevant for your examination. In our first topic we will look into various aspects of genetically modified crops, recent developments, associated concerns and the way forward. After that, in our second topic we will look into various dimensions of a silent epidemic, that is rising cases of road accidents in India. Then in our simplified section we will take up 5 articles and we will try to explain them in simplest language possible to enrich your understanding of the newspapers. Additionally, we have also incorporated some prelims pointers which is going to be very crucial for your upcoming prelims 2025 examination. So have a look on them also and stay tuned. So let's start our discussion with the first topic, that is, how did India develop genome edited rice? The context of this topic is that India has become the first country in the world to develop rice varieties using the genome edited technology as announced by Union Agriculture Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan on May 4, 2025. And it has been developed under the guidance of ICAR, that is Indian Council of Agricultural Research. Seeds of these rice varieties will be available in the market after getting due regulatory clearances. Interestingly, India is one such country where the first genetically modified rubber plant was also planted in the state of Assam, and this particular topic pertains to syllabus of your GS paper 3 Agriculture and Biotechnology. So genetically modified crop or the GM crop, or it is also called as transgenic crop, is one such crop where a gene is artificially inserted into the crop from other species, and that species might be unrelated to this crop. And why it is done? To give specific property, desired traits, and it is mostly pest resistant or herbicide tolerant, or some other property can be introduced. For example, let's suppose there is a rice variety which is high water intensive, it consumes too much of water, and there is a specific gene which is giving this property to this rice variety. Now what if we will edit this gene, we will introduce new gene, or we will modify this gene which was responsible for high water consumption, and that can make this rice variety less water intensive, and that can be then commercially grown at a better rate by the farmers. And India's first GM crop variety was approved for the commercialization was BT cotton, and it was the technology Bolgard 1 which provided immunity against the pink bollworm, and this was developed by Monsanto, which is a big MNC, and Monsanto also released Bolgard 2 in 2006. What exactly was happening? The cotton crop, which is one of the important crop which is highly grown in India, was highly impacted due to the attack of one such pest with the name of pink bollworm, and due to this attack of the pink bollworm, the yield of the crops or the production was declining. So when this BT cotton was introduced, in one of the bacteria with the name of Bacillus thuringiensis have one such property which was introduced in this crop. And when the specific property from the BT bacteria was introduced in this crop, cotton, it was releasing the certain toxins, and which had made this cotton crop pest resistant against the attack of the pink bollworm, and which has actually helped in increasing the acreage area as well as it has helped in increasing the yields of the crops. And this is the reason this UPSC Prelims 2021 question that was asked in the prelims examination, the very basic question, Bolgard 1 and Bolgard 2 technologies are mentioned in the context of, that is, developing genetically modified crop plants. So with basic understanding also, by observing the things that are in news, you can solve multiple questions in the prelims examination. Apart from the BT cotton, BT brinjal and BT mustard also were in development stage. They also got various clearances, but because of various apprehensions of various stakeholders that are involved, as it could not be commercially cultivated as of now. So what are the current developments? What are the two varieties or the varieties which were introduced? One is DRR Dhan 100 Kamla variety, which is developed from Samba Masuri, which was again a rice variety which was less water intensive, means water consumption of Samba Masuri was less. What are the traits that we are introducing? It will have a high yield, it will be drought tolerance, it will be drought tolerant, means less water consumption would be done by these varieties. It can be grown even in the less water, and it will have high nitrogen use efficiency. The urea that will be given to this crop, it will be able to utilize that to its maximum potential. Also, it have 20 days earlier maturity. So that means the crop duration is also getting reduced, and when the crop is getting matured early, means it will use less water, it will consume less water, fertilizer, as well as it will release less methanes, because the paddy fields is also one such source from where the methane emissions are happening. So again, the input cost of the farmers will be reduced because of the less water, less fertilizers use, and the remuneration profitability of the farmers can also be increased. Another variety is the Pusa DST rice one, which is developed from another variety M2U 1010, and it can perform under stress conditions also. And again, it have a better yield, and it have a better yield under the alkaline as well as the salinity like conditions. The soil which have high salinity or high alkalinity, even then it can grow, it can give better yield. So the farmers who are in such areas where the soil is not much conducive for the growing of the rice varieties might find it suitable to grow these varieties, and it will boost the yields up to 30%. It is designed to thrive with less water, and it will be a game changer in the highly drought prone areas. Now, what are the technologies that are used in the genome editing? So there are various molecular seizures which are actually used to give that desired property or to edit that gene. For example, CRISPR-Cas9 is one such molecular seizure which are used. Then we have the talons or zinc finger nuclease or ZFNs are there. These are the molecular seizures which are used to cut the specific gene and then introduce any other gene if we want. So the techniques that are used in these rice varieties are the site directed nuclease SDN1. So there are different SDN, site directed nuclease, means at that site what is the change that we are doing. So the SDN1 and SDN2 were actually used in these rice varieties. And how it is different from the genetically modified crops? The rice varieties do not have any specific new species which was introduced. Rather, it was the change in that rice crop, in that rice gene itself. For example, in the case of BT cotton, what we have done, we have taken one of the genes from Bacillus thuringiensis and we have introduced that in the cotton. But here in the case of rice varieties, we are not introducing any new species or any new gene from any other crop. Rather, we have just tweaked the rice variety itself. So there are no foreign gene inserted, unlike in SDN3. So in the site directed nuclease 3, whenever any gene editing is being done, there it is mandatory condition that there will be some foreign gene from any other species which might be unrelated to the specific crop will be introduced. And that is the case of the genetically modified organisms that we are using in the SDN3. And in the mutations occur via the natural cellular repair. Several countries exempt SDN1, SDN2 from the GM crop regulations, and it is validated through All India Coordination Research Project on the Rice of 2023-24. What are the global research recognition? The Pusa DST rice one peer reviewed in 2020, cited in 300 plus papers, and Kamala's paper is in publication stage. So what we can say that when in SDN1 and SDN2 we are not specifically introducing any new species, so that is the reason regulatory clearances are less stringent as compared to SDN3. And the question that are they genetically modified crop, as per Dr. Vishwanathan C, who is the Joint Director Research in IARI, he said no, they are not the genetically modified crop. Rather, only the native gene editing is being done. The gene of the rice variety, for example, Samba Masuri was tweaked, was edited. There was no new gene that was introduced, and there is no foreign DNA involved. And it can be considered a precision mutation technique. At a precision level, at the specific level, we have just edited. Now, we also need to see what are the various bodies that are involved in getting clearances of the GM crops. For example, there will be an applicant who will apply with the IBSC, that is Institutional Biosafety Committee, who will be forwarding the applications for the approval to of RCGM, that is Review Committee on the Genetic Manipulation. And then what will RCGM do? They will review of the greenhouse lab research data. They will recommend conduct of confined field trials, event selection, and BRL, that is biosafety research level trials, seed production on the selected varieties, hybrids, and review and approve the protocols for conducting the biosafety studies. From from there can be a central compliance committee. They can visit the field trial sites and they can inspect the facilities to ensure the compliance is being done or not. Then the most important body is the GEAC, that is Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, which is a body under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. They will approve conduct of confined field trials, including the BRL second, that is biosafety research level second, seed production, and they will review the safety of events in the given background. And then after getting clearances from GEAC, consideration for environmental release or otherwise can be taken. And this GEAC it is under the Environment Ministry. All these bodies, that is Recombinant DNA Advisory Committee, Institutional Biosafety Committee, Review Committee on the Genetic Manipulation, they are under the Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology. And these State Biotechnology Coordination Committee and District Level Committee, who have the monetary mandate, they are under the respective or specific state government. And these three bodies are involved in the approval, and whereas this RDAC is only a advisory body. And again, I am repeating, these State Biotechnology Coordination Committee and District Level Committee are under the specific state government. What are the various concerns? Before looking into the concerns, what are the positives? The positives are that to ensure the food security, to ensure the proper availability, affordability, as well as accessibility of the food, the proper crop yield is very crucial. And because of the changing situations like high climate changes, etc., that we are witnessing, it becomes very prudent to go for this gene editing, so that our crop varieties can be resistant to the climate change related conditions. But there are some concerns related to it. For example, human health. That, for example, genetically modified herbicides, the tolerant crops which will depend heavily on the glyphosate that we used in USA since 1974. Now, this glyphosate is one such herbicide which have high allergy, which have the carcinogenic impact on the human health. So, it can cause cancers in the human. So, because of this increased use of these kind of varieties, we might have impact on the human health. It can have cancers or various other allergy, etc., that can happen in human. Also, the biodiversity loss. For example, GM mustard, which have a bar gene, is tolerant to one of the glufosinate ammonium herbicide. And this herbicide tolerant trait could harm the mixed farming system by wiping out the surrounding vegetation. That the impact of this would be that surrounding vegetation might be impacted, and that can lead to loss of biodiversity, loss of various other varieties of the crop plants. Then the contamination, that the gene flow from a specific crop can go to certain other crops, and which can threaten the wild or the weedy relatives, that is the non-genetically modified crops, and the organic crops might be also impacted due to this gene flow, gene contamination, or the gene pollution. Apart from that, when we are using these kind of crops which are herbicide tolerant, or they are tolerant to specific pest, slowly and gradually that pest might become a super bug. What we witness in the antimicrobial resistant or antibacterial resistance in the human, that human body becomes too non-responsive to specific antibiotic drugs. What if that pest become too strong that now there is no herbicide that is available in the market that can actually address that pest? So that this another concern is that development of superbugs can happen. Also, it impacts the pollinators. When I said that a specific BT cotton crop was releasing certain toxin or certain protein toxins were getting released, and which was making them immune from the pink bollworm. But again, it may make it immune, or the other pollinators like butterflies, etc., might find it non-conducive to sit on that cotton plant. And in that case, pollination will not happen, as well as the other biodiversity species of the butterflies, etc., might be impacted in that area. So herbicide overuse reduces the weed flora, and that there will be less nectar and pollen, and this is the reason the monarch butterfly population decline linked to the herbicide tolerant crop use in the United States. Also, the corporate control. When the seed markets are being controlled, for example, Monsanto is one such MNC giant who is responsible for producing this. Now, who will ensure the affordable as well as accessibility of these seeds? So, it is the production of these GM crops are limited to few corporations, and that might lead to charging of high prices for this, and which can reduce the farmer choices. And again, when most of the farmers will be using these GM crops, the other farmers or the small and marginal farmers, which are almost 85 to 86% of the total farmers, they will be further compelled to switch to these GM crops, and they might find it not very difficult to buy these GM crops because of the high prices which might be charged by the few corporations who are only producing these GM crops. Also, it can lead to income loss. For example, whenever the higher yields will happen, what if MSP is not being provided for that crop? There is no income, there is no price support guarantee. So in that case, when there will be too much of production, too much of yield of particular crop, then there will be demand supply mismatch, there will be too supply of that particular crop. In that case, what will happen? The market price will fall, and that can lead to income loss, and it will lead to reduced farm gate prices, which can lead to losses to the farmers. What we witness generally in the horticulture crops, you might have seen the media reports where the farmers are just throwing their horticulture crops like cauliflower, tomato, etc. on the roads. Why? Because they are only getting 1 rupees per kg or 2 rupees per kg of their crops in the APMC mandis. Why? Because there has been too much of supply of these horticulture crops in the mandis. So that is the case. If there will be too much of yield, that might reduce or that might lead to reduction in the prices of the particular GM variety of the production. Also, what is the way forward? There is need for more research and development, and whenever we are doing the research and development, we need to keep in focus that the varieties that we are developing, they are sustainable as well as they are resilient seed varieties, and they are resilient to the changing climates. For example, increasing cases of droughts, increasing cases of the pest attacks that happened in the Rajasthan, etc., like locust attack that happened. They are resilient to incessant rainfalls, etc. They have, let's suppose, higher shelf life. These kind of resilient seed varieties will help in doubling farmers' income, as well as that will make the agriculture more remunerative. Also, the regulatory information requirement, there is need for proper awareness generation among the people, among the researchers who are involved in this, because as of now, there are apprehensions, there are various concerns that regulatory clearances take too much of time. There are a lot of bureaucratic rectipism that is involved, and that is the reason there is very less research and development that is happening. As percentage of GDP, what we are investing in R&D, that is only around 0.6 to 0.7%. And even if you talk about the private participation in the research and development, that is much less as compared to the public participation, that is much higher. And slowly and gradually the public participation is increasing. More than that, private players are also increasing the research and development. So we need to create that awareness. We need to develop that hand-holding capacity to the researchers, that they can further motivated to go for this research and development. And we also need to consult all the stakeholders involved in this, whether it is the farmer body, whether it is the researchers, whether it is the private seed manufacturing companies, civil society groups, whether non-governmental organizations, etc. We need to bring all of them on the same page to discuss, to take their apprehensions, so that we can develop those varieties which have all the apprehensions addressed related to human health, related to environment and all other issues. Also, the plant descriptions, genetic traits, whether it is have some toxicity, allergenicity, protein expression data, all that should be given in the public domain in a time-bound manner, so that all the apprehensions can be addressed with. Also, there was this parliamentary standing committee which gave recommendations. They said that field trials to be conducted in closed settings with state and agri university oversight, so that there is no contamination, no pollution is happening. Also, the genetic engineering appraisal committee should be led by qualified biotechnology expert who have a lot of experience in that field, who can also provide proper insights in that development. Also, the comprehensive study needed to reassess the BT cotton's performance at regular interval, so that if there are some concerns that are coming, that can be addressed in a proper manner to make our farming remunerative, as well as to ensure there is a proper inclusive society that we are developing. And this is a mains practice question from this topic that you people can write. Moving towards our next topic, that is the road to safety. The context of this topic is that a write-up has appeared covering various aspects of road safety. There is an editorial which has been written in today's The Hindu newspaper, and it has been written by one senior IPS officer of Haryana as well as one road safety expert. And this particular topic pertains to syllabus of your GS paper 2, government policies and interventions, and syllabus of your GS paper 3, infrastructure. India have one of the longest road networks in the world. But unfortunately, every year more than 1.68 lakh deaths are happening on Indian road itself as per the data of the NCRB. So what we can say that every hour around 19 to 20 people are losing their lives on account of road accidents. And as per the World Health Organization, more than 3 lakh deaths are happening related to road accidents, and 1.3 million worldwide deaths are happening related to the road accidents. 1/4 of this is happening in India itself. And another data that says that 66.5% of the deaths that are happening on the road, that is belonging to the persons of age bracket of 18 to 45 years, and 83.4% of the total road accident fatalities that are happening, that belongs to the people of age group of 18 to 60 years. Also, as per this data of NCRB, where it says that more than 1.68 lakh deaths are happening every year, and this is the data of NCRB 2022, that means that there are at least 12.2 deaths that are happening over on 1 lakh population, and this is much higher as if we compare to some other developing or developed countries. Like in Japan, it is only 2.57, in UK it is only 2.61. And it is not only the deaths that are happening, it is also leading to economic losses. Let's suppose there was a breadwinner, sole breadwinner of any one family, he lost his or her life in the road accident. So obviously that will impact the income of that family, as well as it will also lead to the impact on the production, because he might be involved in the production of any of the in any of the company. As well as experts believe that it can lead to an economic loss of around 3% of GDP annually because of these road accidents. What is the state-wise road accident data? Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh are one such state from where the highest number of road accidents as well as fatalities are being reported. So where these accidents are happening? If we talk about by type of roads, that most of these are happening on other roads. On national highways, 34% of the deaths are happening and accidents are happening. 25% accidents are happening on the state highways, and 1% are happening on the expressway, and this is the data from 2019 to 2022. And if you talk about the road accident by use of the safety gears, that there are at least some people who are not wearing seat belts. 58.5% are other deaths, and significant amount are not wearing helmets. And again, if we look into the road accident by vehicle type, 33.8% are belonging to the two-wheeler categories, then car, jeep, taxis are 23.6%, and road fatalities, if we talk about, again two-wheelers are around 34.8%. So what does that mean? That people are not wearing helmets, people are not wearing seat belts, people are not wearing safety gears, and that is one of the reason why there are high road accidents and subsequent road fatalities are happening. What are the reasons for these high road accidents? First of all, some of the man-made causes, that obviously the people push their capabilities to a longer extent, that they think no, I will drive my car for consecutive 2 or 3 days, or I will try to drive it for 24 hours itself. So obviously there are high chances that when the person is sleep deprived, he might find it difficult to drive that car properly. Or another, that over speeding, not using seat belts, not wearing helmets, coming on the wrong sides, not looking into the signals properly, not looking into the road pavements, etc. These are the some man-made causes which are one of the significant contributor to the high road accidents as well as high road fatalities. Then the poor road infrastructure, again especially if you talk about the use of the technologies properly, the improper use of the technologies properly, they do the proper research, they don't do proper surveys. For example, there may be some black spots where there are high accidents that are happening. In that case, we may make it less accessible to the sideways, or access control highways can be there. But again, less surveys are happening. These expressway or roadways in some time or at some times they are being built at a much higher speeds. So because of these all less use of the technologies as well as the poor road infrastructure, that is potholes are there, quality of the roads are not there. So all these are again significant contributor to the road accidents. Then again, if you look into the traffic rule violation and death it is causing, the speeding, driving drunk, driving wrong side, using mobile phone, jumping traffic signal, these are some of the violations which have led to accidents as well as deaths. And majority of this was the speeding itself, which is again a man-made cause due to which the accidents are happening. And again, that rush that people want to feel when they overspeed, all that leads to a loss of life. Also, the vehicle conditions, that it is not properly maintained. People doesn't visit the mechanics in a proper manner. Obviously, they go for a cheaper alternatives for various parts, and this leads to mechanical failures at times. And obviously, when the mechanical failures are happening, that also, for example, steering is not working properly, brake fail can happen. All these can lead to the road accidents. Then the poor awareness among the people, that even today, when people know that their lives are very precious, even then you will see on the roads people are not using the helmets. Even when people know that okay, I need to wear the seat belts properly, then again they don't wear the helmets. Why? Because they think that okay, my accident is not going to happen, what is the relevance or what is the importance of wearing the seat belts? And then when some of the near and dear ones will lose the life, then people will understand its importance. So poor awareness among the people about the importance of following the traffic norms, about the wearing proper safety gears is not that good, and that is one of the significant contributor to the road accidents. Then the ineffective law enforcement, that people do not have that law enforcement agencies, the corruptions involved, whether it is related to the traffic inspectors, etc. And time and again you witness all these things. And the lack of proper oversight mechanism on these traffic personals, lack of proper oversight mechanism on the traffic signals, lack of proper mechanisms to actually identify the overspeeding, to penalize in a time-bound manner, that is again one of the contributing factor to the road accidents, because this creates a deterrent in the minds of the people, that they will be scared, they will be fearful of the penalties, as well as they will be fearful of the deaths that might happen in future. What are the various initiatives that has been taken to address the road accidents? There is this Brasilia Declaration on the Road Safety of 2015, which is providing global commitment to halve road traffic deaths and injuries by 2030. Also, the Decade of Action for Road Safety from 2021 to 2030, which is a UN-backed initiative to prevent at least 50% of road traffic deaths and injuries by 2030. Then International Road Assessment Program, IRAP, which is an organization dedicated to saving lives through safer roads. In India, we have the Motor Vehicles Amendment Act 2019, which has increased the penalties for the traffic violation, which has established the Motor Vehicles Accident Fund to support the people who are losing their lives, etc. And also it created a broader National Road Safety Board to actually address the underlying issues in a proper manner. Also, the Carriage by Road Act of 2007, which regulates the common carriers, limits their liabilities. Control of National Highway Act 2000, which provides for control of land within the national highways. National Highway Authority Act of India Act 1998, which establishes authority for the development and maintenance of national highways in a proper time-bound manner, as well as it ensures that the quality checks are also happening properly. Then what should be done? So as government in past few years have taken various measures. For example, it has mandated that the airbags should be there in the cars. That has been made a mandatory conditions. Various state government have launched various programs. For example, Gadda Mukt Uttar Pradesh was launched in Uttar Pradesh to actually address the issues of the potholes. So this government has taken various initiatives, but again, the initiatives are also should also come from the people, that they should also take those responsibilities properly. So there are 4 pillars of the road safeties, 4 E's: engineering, enforcement, education, and the emergency care. The first is the engineering, that whatever the road construction that is happening, that should be all the considerations should be taken into account related to the specific condition of that local vicinity, that what is the soil structure, what is the, let's suppose, traffic that will be coming, what is the people who are living in the vicinity, what is the condition of the animals, etc., that are there. That engineering will ensure that the mechanical failures are becoming less, or as well as it will ensure that people are finding it easy, or people are finding it comfortable to move on that road. Also, the enforcement of the laws that has been made, that is again very important, and for that we need a proper oversight mechanism. Then educating the people about the importance of their precious life and how easily they can lose their life by not wearing the safety gears, by not following all the traffic norms. And the emergency care, the golden hour that is there, because in any case whenever the road accidents are happening, there is a very narrow passage of time that is available, in which if the person will find proper medical care, then the lives of that person can be saved. But the lack of proper ambulance facilities and it is the apathy of the people to not help that person who is in distress, who is who is on the road, who has faced a road accident. All these leads to losing that golden hour and people lose their lives. So first we need to develop that infrastructure, road design and engineering. We need to have proper pedestrian and cyclist safety that needs to be maintained, that needs to be ensured on the roads, and the public transport facilities needs to be improved, as well as these people needs to be, especially the drivers of the public transport facilities, they need to be also educated that how important for them is to follow the traffics. I don't want to take the specific names of the drivers of the public transport there, but there are some states who just drive haphazardly, who just drive so recklessly that they endangers the lives of the people on the road. So these public transport drivers, as well as the people involved in the public transport, they also needs to be properly educated, as well as government should further promote the public transport facilities that will actually reduce the number of vehicles on the road, and that can actually help in reducing the road accidents. Then the vehicle safety, there is need for mandatory safety features. So again, this has been made mandatory by the government, and the companies are now following this. Also, regular vehicle inspection should be done, promotion of safer vehicles should be promoted, and for this there can be some extra discount or support can be provided by the government. For example, government came with the scrappage policy, where if people are scrapping their old vehicles, they can get various subsidies in buying the new vehicles. So that all these needs to be promoted. There is need for a proper feedback mechanism which should come from the manufacturers of the vehicles, from the people, that how well they can improve on these whatever the laws or whatever the inspection mechanism, safety features has been incorporated in the vehicles. Also, emergency response, that we need to improve the emergency services. There is need for proper hospitals with the trauma care facilities with proper ventilation, etc. And also technological interventions, that intelligent transportation systems, that is ADAS, etc., anti-collision systems that are coming with the vehicles, that needs to be promoted. And speed control devices should be there within the vehicles. Speed monitoring should be done with the proper cameras, etc. Also, alcohol detection systems needs to be ensured at regular interval on the expressway, etc. So that if people are driving after consuming the alcohols, that can be properly inspected, and there can be proper penalties that can be levied. Also, driver behavior and education, that needs to be promoted properly, because in India there are a lot of corruption involved, and that has been widely reported in the newspapers, especially if we talk about the transport department, that how actually you are going to get a driving license. And in various cases, there has been various media reports that there has been various cases where the people actually don't go for their driving licenses. They actually don't give the proper exams, practical exams, and they just get their driving licenses. So they are not learning how to drive properly. They are not learning how to behave on the road properly. There is lack of civic sense. People will just come from this lane to this lane without even giving the indicators. So this driving behavior and education is very important, and for this there is need for stricter enforcement of traffic laws. There is need for driver education and training. Awareness campaigns can be done with the help of social media, with the help of other media platforms, and addressing the distracted driving needs to be done with the help of technology. And For example, government of UP launched this Operation Trinetra, where they have installed various security cameras, CCTV cameras at various black spots, etc., to actually identify the particular accidents. And they have also gone for ensuring that black spot has been identified. There has been various signboards, etc., that has been installed on those places, so that people can be made aware of that black spot and chances of accidents happening at that site. So all those needs to be promoted properly, so that we can have a safer road. And this is a mains practice question that you people can write from this topic. Moving towards our simplified section, the first topic is why are temperatures rising in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, and this is related to your GS paper 1, important geophysical phenomena, and this has appeared in today's The Hindu, page number 10. So on May 12, 17 districts of Andhra Pradesh recorded temperature above 41 degrees Celsius, with Andhra Pradesh State Disaster Management Authority saying heat wave like conditions are said to prevail in northern districts, as well as mercury levels surged past the 40 degree C mark across all 33 districts of Telangana on April 21. And these are situated on eastern sides of Deccan Plateau in South India, and Andhra Pradesh, Telangana feature regularly on the list of Indian states which are most prone to heat waves during the summer. So what are the various factors which are impacting the temperature of the region? For example, latitude, because if some areas which are lying on the latitudes like Tropic of Cancers, etc., obviously there will be direct sun rays that will be coming on this, and that will lead to a high temperature, and that is the reason some of the southern cities face this high temperature during the summer season. And they also belong to this torrid zone, which gets the maximum solar insolation. Also the altitude, because as we know that with increase in the height, temperature declines. So if there will be a place which is higher in altitude, obviously that will have a cooler climate. And the distance from sea, because generally the land heats faster and it also loses the heat faster, whereas the water or the sea takes time to gets heated, and again it slowly and gradually releases its heat. So whenever any place is near to the sea, there will be a moderating impact by the sea, which will help in ensuring the temperature remains to a moderate level of that place. Also the ocean currents, that also leads to heat transfer whenever the warm currents that are coming. So that also impacts the temperature. Then the winds and the air masses, because they are also one of the factors, one of the major vehicles which are transporting the air masses. So again they impact the temperature. Then the cloud covers, they blocks the radiation, that is the outgoing solar radiation after the incoming solar radiation has touched and it is getting reflected. So that when it is blocking the radiation, again the heat is getting trapped in the lower atmosphere, that is leading to high temperature. Then the rainfall, it leads to cooling effect. Whether if there will be a place which have high rainfall, obviously temperature will be comparatively moderate. Then the slope and aspect, that what is the place exposure to the sun's rays, if that is highly exposed, then obviously it will have high temperature. Then the urbanization, that when concretization has happened, it leads to creation of an heat island impact, that there is no soil which can actually absorb the heat and everything is getting reflected, and we are facing such a high temperature. And even in the case of summer, if you will see that in the month of June, when everyone will be using their ACs, and in that case, in that situation, when we will go into any of the lanes or any of the gullies, you will see how heat you will face, the excess air that is coming from the ACs. Vegetation cover, it also leads to evapotranspiration cooling, that is the transpiration, that is soil, that is the moisture that the plants are releasing. So that also leads to increasing the availability of the moisture in the atmosphere, which leads to a cooling effect. And when there will be less vegetation, obviously there will be a very high temperature. Also the seasonality, that is axial tilt of the particular place. So that will also determine. Then the soil type, that whether it is absorbing the heat or it is reflecting the heat. Human activities like the anthropogenic heat that is coming due to the greenhouse gas emissions, etc. All these are the factors that contributes to the high temperature of one particular place. So both Andhra Pradesh and the Telangana latitudinally fall under the Tropic of Cancer, and this puts the state in the torrid zone and a regional which is characterized by hot and humid weather. Also Sun is vertically above these states during the summer months, leading to increased solar radiation as well as heating. Also, Telangana is landlocked states with no major water bodies. They are nearby to moderate its temperature. As a result, it experiences a continental climate where the temperature can rise sharply during the day. Also, it have black soil which absorbs more heat, causing temperature to spike. Also, the land surface terrain and the green cover make a lot of difference. And if you compare these states to the regions which are under intensive agriculture or have dense forest, those areas are much cooler due to evaporative cooling as well as evapotranspiration that are happening with the help of the vegetation. Also, evaporative cooling is a process that leads to reduction in the temperature of the surrounding as water evaporates, and that supplies moisture to the atmosphere. In drier climates, when water evaporates, it takes up heat from surrounding as its source of energy to convert vapor, thus cooling the surrounding. But that is not happening in the Telangana and Andhra Pradesh because of its rocky terrain. Also, irrigation involves using water on land surface which is stored in the soil moisture, and during high temperature in summer, evaporation from soil and transpiration from plants causes evaporative cooling in the area, reducing the intensity of heat waves. But the rocky terrain of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana does not allow for this phenomena to be pronounced enough to make it difference in the temperatures. Then the lack of sufficient rainfall is another factor that leads to high summer temperature in both states. And what should be done? There is need for an early warning system, because as of now we have the absence of the early warning system, because these heat wave condition highly impacts the productivity of the people, and there is also a equity factor that it impacts more to the people who are marginalized, people who are daily wage workers, because they do not have the proper resources, cooling resources like AC, coolers, etc. They are not having those, and these daily wage workers, construction workers, they are bound to work on those heats, and hence there will be heat wave conditions. Obviously, they will find it very difficult to work on that. So there is need for an early warning system so that people can decide, they can plan their future lives. Also, understanding the risk is the first step towards the mitigating the impact of heat waves, which should be followed by differentiating districts based on the dry heat and humid heat. So there is need for a proper heat action plans based on the vulnerability assessment of each areas, so that we can address the specific need of that particular place. Moving towards next topic, that is Indian tech in Operation SIndoor, and this is related to your GS paper 3 defense, and this has appeared in today's Indian Express page number 15. There has been various technological advancement that India have done in last few decades, and these were actually used in the recent skirmishes that we have faced, tensions that we have faced with the Pakistan. And what are those technologies that we have used? For the guidance and navigation, we have used our own Indian Desi GPS, that is the Navik, that is navigation with Indian constellation, that is Navik system, which is a system of satellites which is complemented by an array of very high resolution Earth observation satellite, which can observe the India as well as the areas located in the vicinity of area beyond the borders. So whatever the pictures that we are getting related to the Air Force bases of the Pakistan, Navik was giving us good pictures because of the high resolution cameras that it has. Also, the Cartosat, Resat, US series satellite keep round the clock watch on the subcontinent and provide vital information and imagery that are useful for military. And some of these satellites can identify and differentiate between objects as small as 25 to 30 centimeter in size, and Navik is said to achieve the positional accuracy of 10 to 20 centimeter. Just think of the positional accuracy it will achieve in the upcoming time. So for the guidance and navigation, these were the technologies for which we were highly dependent. Then for the lethality and the destructive power, that we had the integrated guided missile development program under Dr. ABJ Abdul Kalam, which provided the propulsion and warhead technologies, and India have actually achieved this feat with the efforts of the DRDO, whether it is the intercontinental ballistic missile or air defense system that we have developed, that is because of the integrated guided missile development program, whether it is the Agni missiles, Akash missiles, etc. For example, Akash defense system was used in the ongoing tensions with the Pakistan. Then we have the radar and the air defense system. Russia's S-4 defense system has come in for with lot of praise, and PM also acknowledged its importance by posing next to a S-400 launcher during his visits to Adampur Air Force Base Station. And India's air defense comprises an array of different radar and weapon systems which work in tandem and were successfully in neutralizing almost every Pakistan attack. And the radar were used including the indigenous developed Rajendra radars, Rohini 3D medium range surveillance radars, 3D low level lightweight radars and low level transportable radars. What are these radars? These are actually, you can say, these radars are something that send electromagnetic waves in the atmosphere, and whenever any particular object is coming in our atmosphere, these electromagnetic waves strikes that and they give us an idea, okay, this is something object that is coming in our atmosphere. And then again, with the help of these air defense systems, Doppler effect is used where the sound waves are sent and that gives us an idea about the speed of particular object. That can also give an idea about the size of the object. And then again, with the help of this air defense system, there can be missiles that can be launched, and on that missile also there will be radar that will be used, and this missile will actually change its path. They will be able to change its position, speed according to the changing speed of that object that is coming in our atmosphere, and then they can strike or they can make them non-functional, that object that was coming in our atmosphere. Also, India's air defense system, including newly inducted Samar, that is surface to air missile for assured retaliation system that can intercept a range of low flying aerial targets up to range of 12 km, and Akash short to medium range surface to air missile systems. Also various UAVs, that is Heron, etc., that Harop that we have taken from various other countries, and now we are developing in India also. So in the last few years, we have developed good capabilities of the drone technology, Idea Forge, etc. There were various startups. There are various other defense startups like Skyroot, etc., which are doing good production in the case of the defense. Also, Akash, which provides air defense that covers to all vulnerable areas and critical installation, and they can simultaneously engage multiple air targets such as enemy aircraft, missile, as well as unmanned aerial vehicles. And development of Akash began in late 1980s as part of DRDO's integrated guided missile development program, and the early system trials, field trials, and the target neutralization trials were conducted in late 1990s and early 2000. And how exactly this Akash works? An integrated 3D central acquisition radar scans the airspace for potential threats, and then it is guided by a sophisticated multifunction fire control radar named Rajendra, which has a coverage of 80 km, and a single Rajendra radar can track multiple targets and guide multiple missiles simultaneously. Precise tracking data from radar goes to command and control center, which calculates the intercept trajectory, that how it should go to intercept the trajectory of the particular coming object. And missile is then fired from a mobile launcher. One launcher can hold up to 3 missiles propelled by a ramjet engine for more than 700 kg heavy Akash missile, and they can reach up to a speed of Mach 2.5. And why Akash is potent? Because it have high accuracy, the radar signatures that it can actually get, the mobility that it can be placed from one place to another place without much difficulty, because of the entire weapon system being a launcher and set of missiles control center, and which can be mounted on various vehicles. And the resilience, that Akash has inbuilt electronic countermeasures features which make it resilient to enemy electronic countermeasures, and this has a high immunity against active and passive jamming by the enemies, that it cannot be jammed. Also, there are other variants with the name Akash Prime, which has improved the reliability in low temperature environment and higher altitudes, and also comes with an indigenous active radio frequency seeker for improved accuracy. And Akash Prime underwent in maiden flight test in September 21. Then also we have the Akash NG, that is the new generation, which is designed for IAF, that is Indian Air Force, to intercept high maneuvering aerial threats with low radar cross sections. Also, there has been another counter drone micro missile system which has been developed by Economics Explosive Limited, a subsidiary of Solar Industries India Limited, with the name of Bhargavastra. The purpose of this is to counter drone system to neutralize loitering munition and weaponized drones, that if the swarm of drones are coming, even then this Bhargavastra can tackle that. Its key features are: it can detect small flying objects up to 6 km, it fires 64 micro missiles simultaneously for cost effective defense, operates in various terrains including high altitude areas, and it detects and tracks UAVs at altitudes up to 5,000 meter using advanced radar and fire control systems. So, and it can have multi-layered system that hits virtual targets at over 2.5 km. Moving towards next topic, that is new monthly periodic labor force survey, and this is related to GS paper 3, environment, employment and inclusive growth, and this has appeared in today's Indian Express page number 13. So as per the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, it released that periodic labor force survey on a monthly basis starting May, along with the quarterly reports for both rural and urban areas. The revamped survey will have additional details about education, land possessed and land leased out, and households' usual monthly income from rent, pension, interest and remittances. So this modified PLFS will give an idea about various other sectors, various other insights about the people's spending and everything. Also, revamped PLFS will also see the reporting period being tweaked to a calendar year basis beginning January 25 instead of July to June earlier. It was said by the ministry. And the first monthly bulletin of PLFS for April is scheduled to be released in May, while the first quarterly bulletin, one yearly bulletin will come, one monthly bulletin will come and another quarterly bulletin will come. So first quarterly bulletin of PLS covering both rural and urban areas for April to June is slated to be released in August. So for April to June quarter, it will come in August. And for additional details regarding usual monthly income of households from renting of the land or building, from interest on saving and investment, from pension received, from remittances received, have been incorporated in the revamped periodic labor force survey. So this periodic labor force survey actually gives us an idea about the labor force participation rate, etc., and it is released by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. And additional educational details in the new survey includes queries on the years of education completed, number of months attended in last year of education and secondary education. It will also cover key employment and unemployment indicators like labor force participation rate, worker population ratio, unemployment rate on a monthly basis for rural and urban areas at all India level in the current weekly status, and the thereby producing quarterly estimated in both usual status and CWS in both rural and urban areas. What is this current weekly status and usual status? They are used in the labor matrix, and for current weekly status, reference period is 7 days. That whether if people did not have any work, 0 hours they have worked, they will be considered unemployment. And if they had 1 or more than 1 hour of employment or working hours, then they will be considered available for the working or seeking the work. And they gives us a snapshot of short-term unemployment, whereas usual status for this reference period is 365 days, and it gives us an idea about the labor force, whether worked or available seeking for a major part of the year. And they will mostly, if they are seeking or available, example for 1 or 2 months, short work for the 5 months, based on that they will be considered unemployment or employed. And it is the National Sample Survey Office under the MOSPI which launched the PLFS in April 27. Quarterly bulletins provided details of labor force indicators such as LFPR, working population ratio, etc. And as present, this PLFS data on an annual basis and as at present, the rural PLFS data on an annual basis is coming and urban PLFS data on quarterly basis were being released. And other unemployment surveys such as Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, CMIE, comes out on weekly as well as on monthly basis. Then next topic is Chandrayaan-5, which is related to your GS paper 3, achievements of Indians in science and technology, and this has appeared in today's The Hindu, page number 16. So India and Japanese space agencies are working on Chandrayaan-5 mission, which has aimed at deeper exploration of moon's surface mainly for water, and they will soon commence its preliminary design phase of lander and rover. So here the Chandrayaan-5, which will be called as the LUPEX, Lunar Polar Exploration. It is a joint project of ISRO and JAXA, and they will study the water and water ice both on the lunar surface as well as on the subsurface, and it is weighing 6.5 ton. It is proposed to lift off on Japanese rocket H3, and under this rover, JAXA team will plan to trace areas on the moon with the presence of water, sample of nearby soil, etc. And it was cabinet committee on which approved Chandrayaan-5 in the March itself. And ISRO will actually develop the lander, and JAXA is building the 350 kilogram of rover. And there will be around 7 scientific instruments on board that will be, and there will be some contribution from European space agencies as well as NASA. So Chandrayaan-1 was launched on October 2008, and it has a payload only of an orbiter and a moon impact probe. It was successful. Chandrayaan-2 was launched in 2019. It landed on September 6, 2019. It has orbiter, lander and rover. Orbiter in moon's orbit, lander landed minutes before the touchdown. Chandrayaan-3 launch date is 2023 July 14. It landed on August 23, 23. It has propulsion module, lander and rover. Its status is that it soft landed on the moon, and Pragyan rover was also deployed, and it also got various samples. Then the Chandrayaan-4 mission, which will be developing space technologies and capabilities. The focus areas will be successful lunar landing as well as re-entry to the Earth, collection and analysis of the lunar sample, because in the Chandrayaan-3 it was in situ experiment and the analysis that was done, and here it will be re-entry that will be done, and critical technology to be deployed will be indigenously developed, and it will make India Atmanirbhar in foundational technologies for the manned missions. Then next topic is wholesale price index inflation. This is related to your GS paper 3 growth and development, and this has appeared in today's Indian Express page number 13. So the wholesale price index, which is released by Office of Economic Advisor under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, fell to a 9-month low in April to 0.85% from 2.05% in March, as the prices of energy declined and moderation in increase in the price of food products. Of the 3 main components of index, contraction in price of primary articles was 1.44%, fuel and power it was 2.18%. Only in the manufactured article category inflation was 2.62%, which was seen according to the data of Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And when you will look into this wholesale price index, the base year is 2011-12. Again, primary articles have weight of 22.62%, fuel and power have a weight of 13.15%, and manufactured product have a weight of 64.23%. And it represents the price of goods at wholesale stage itself, that is goods that are sold in bulk and they are traded between the organization instead of consumers. Then the CPI, which tracks the change in the retail prices of the goods and services which households purchase for their daily consumption. Again, the base year is 2012, and it is released by NSO, which is under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Then the producer price index, which measures the wholesale price from the point of view of producers of goods and services, tracking the prices at different stages of the production. It looks at inflation from the viewpoint of industry and business and measures price changes before consumers purchases the final goods and services. It gives us an idea, it gives the idea to the producer that what is the increase in the cost of the production that is happening, what is the increase in the raw material cost, or whether it is the increase in the prices at each stage of the production, how much it is happening at each stage, or whether it is the increase in the transportation cost, etc. that is happening. All that idea the producer gets with the help of this producer price index. That is all from today's Analyst. Thank you very much. All the very best. Keep studying.